Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. A slightly later weekend review for you this weekend on Tuesday evening. It was a fairly busy weekend of sport that we had, so without further ado, let's get into it. This is the weekend review. First off, going into soccer, Ireland played Canada and on Friday night going into Saturday morning in Canada. Obviously Canada start off their World Cup journey in a couple of days time. That one finished 1-1. Canada went ahead through Jake O'Brien own goal in the 23rd minute before a penalty was awarded to Ireland on the hour mark, where Troy Parrott stepped up but had his effort saved, and Chiedozie Ogbene put in the rebound to get Ireland the draw in the end. Canada were probably the more dominant team in the game in terms of possession and shots on goal. In terms of big chances, Ireland were probably the better side. But unfortunately, they couldn't sneak a winner after the equaliser on the hour mark. For Ireland now, that is 8 games undefeated in regular time to exclude penalty shootouts. Their last loss was against Portugal in October of 25. So it shows definitely promising signs, and things are they're going steadily uphill for Heimer Hallgrimsson and his side. A notable thing, of course, as well, Jayden Numa started for Ireland, which was brilliant for him, and 3 League of Ireland players played for Ireland in Canada. So it just shows that our own league is growing very, very quickly, and it's absolutely brilliant to see. Then going on to golf, we had the PGA Memorial Tournament in Moorfield Village in Columbus, Ohio. JT Poston came out on top of that one, winning by way of playoff against Ryan Gerard, and collected the $20 million purse for himself at the weekend on the 50th anniversary of the Memorial Tournament. It was Poston's first win since 2024 and just his 4th professional win of his career, so a fantastic weekend for him. It was the second weekend in a row that a PGA tournament finished up by way of playoff, which makes for much more entertaining viewing coming into the later stages of the 4th round. If every tournament was like that, I'd say the viewers would be very happy, but I don't think the players would be, as they'd be ferociously nervous. Favourite Scottie Scheffler finished the tournament on tied 12th with Justin Rose and Rory McIlroy on -4, but he probably made the headlines for all the wrong reasons this weekend. He had a bit of a meltdown with his caddy Ted Scott. Wasn't happy with, I suppose, the advice that he gave him in terms of the club to use on the fairway, and obviously didn't end up too well for him. Look, I think everybody's kind of been saying the same thing. For golfers, your caddies can only give you advice, which is fair enough. Maybe wasn't the best club to give him, but at the end of the day, you don't actually really have to take that advice on board. If you feel in your own mind that you need maybe to play a certain type of shot, maybe that goes against what your caddy says, you're taking the shot at the end of the day. And I think going after your caddy the way he did, which was probably the biggest talking point of the weekend, just wasn't the best thing for Scottie Scheffler. He obviously was going into the tournament wanting to win it 3 times in a row, so you can understand maybe a bit of the frustration there that he wanted to do that 3 in a row to emulate Tiger Woods from 99 to 2001. But look, he probably just needs to do better in his own mind, really. Then we go into horse racing, and then the Epsom races, of course, were on this weekend with the Derby on Saturday. Aidan O'Brien won his 12th Derby as trainer, not with the favourite, but with Christmas Day, and rode in that one to win, obviously, a record 12th win for him in the Derby to keep going with his ever-growing presence at the Epsom races, and the biggest race in Epsom all year. Ronan Whelan was in the saddle for that one. His price was bigger kind of throughout the week, earlier in the week. I've seen people who had him at 12-1 and 11-1. He finished up before the race at 7-1, so he was backed fairly heavily, but that was a great win for Whelan and O'Brien, of course. The favourite Benvenuto Cellini finished up in 10th, but how he got there was probably the biggest talking point of the Epsom races. His hind legs got caught in the traps coming out, and he was called as a non-runner, which was disappointing, I suppose, for anybody who backed him, and of course O'Brien, but I don't think he'll be too disappointed, as at least one of his horses in the race got him his 12th win of the Derby. Joseph O'Brien's Thundering On won in the Oaks on Friday, which is the biggest race, of course, on the Friday, which started off a brilliant weekend for the O'Brien family. And to finish up the weekend review, we had hurling provincial finals on Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, we had the Leinster final between Galway and Dublin in Croke Park. And then on Sunday, we had Cork against Limerick in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Galway, of course, beat Dublin on Saturday evening by 14 points, winning the Leinster Championship in very, very convincing fashion. Aaron Nyland had a brilliant game, scoring 1-8 for Galway. Dublin were in it in certain stages, maybe in the first half. They kind of clawed back a decent, I suppose, lead that Galway had at one stage. But in the second half, Galway really pushed on and also just pushed Dublin aside. It was, of course, a first Leinster title for Galway in 8 years. Now they look to push on and possibly win the Liam McCarthy Cup for the first time since 2017. Then, of course, on Sunday, we had the Munster final between Cork and Limerick. Limerick came to Cork's backyard and won by a point in a game that really kind of lacked proper quality. Peter Casey's winning score came in the 72nd minute. There was 5 minutes added on and a further 2 played. So there was 5 minutes after the winning score, which Cork could not see themselves come back into the game, even though they had a very big chance at the very end. Cork goalkeeper Patrick Collins came up for a free in the dying moments and poked it short to Tim O'Mahony, which might not have been the best idea. He probably should have went long. Tim O'Mahony then poked it into the air and the referee blew the full-time whistle. Look, it's probably Cork's own fault, really, in my own opinion. I think Patrick Collins should have went for it. There's no way that the referee was going to blow the whistle while, say, Collins's puck was mid-air, because he'd already given the free. If he wasn't, if he was going to blow the full-time whistle when the ball was mid-air, say if Collins did go for it, he wouldn't have, he probably wouldn't have given the free and he probably would have just blown the full-time whistle then and there. Look, as I said, it was probably Cork's own fault. Collins should have went for it himself instead of giving it off to Tim O'Mahony. That might sound harsh to some people from Cork. I think a lot of people share the same viewpoint. Look, at the end of the day, Cork were probably the better team overall, and they kind of they kept Limerick in it, in a sense, by not putting them away. Limerick missed some very bad shots from fairly decent angles. I wouldn't say that there were many that were too horrendous. Of course, the rain as well didn't help in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, but I think Cork realistically kept Limerick in the game, and that was their biggest downfall, really. Alan Connolly and Aidan O'Connor were probably the 2 standout players of the game, and of course there were some brilliant saves on show by both goalkeepers, which kind of just shows how courageous these hurlers that we have in our country really are, putting their bodies on the line when a slitter is coming at you at about 100 miles an hour and just throwing yourself at it. But no, it just shows the real quality of the game that we have of hurling is in this country. All the kind of stars were out for it. Caoimhín Kelleher was there and Conor Bradley was there watching it. Of course, Cork own Caoimhín Kelleher, who's now at Brentford. And you know, there was obviously Cork and Limerick is a fairly big rivalry now in terms of GAA. We know this now for the last few years. That really ramped up this weekend, and I don't see it finishing anytime soon this year. I do think they'll meet each other again, definitely, and we'll just have to see who comes out on top that then, and if either of them can win the Liam McCarthy. They both can, definitely, but of course, like the likes of Galway now will be maybe smelling blood after dismantling Dublin in Croke Park. So yeah, look, that is the weekend review. A lot of great action, as we said. We had the Irish soccer team was playing in Canada. We had the golf, the Epsom races, and of course the provincial finals. So Be looking forward now to the weekend preview ahead, where we are probably going to be looking solely at the GAA this weekend with the round 2A and 2B games that are on Saturday and Sunday. Some big ones in there. So we're going to look at them then in the weekend preview coming up probably on either Thursday evening or Friday morning. So until then, thanks very much for watching. If you could like and subscribe and maybe share the channel with somebody who hasn't seen it already that might be interested in it, that'd be really appreciated from myself. So until then, I'll talk to you later.